I posted an audience poll titled, "Which book would you choose?" on two different Instagram accounts. On the left were books written by white authors, and on the right were books written by people of color. Considering that the audience didn't have the summary of the book to base their judgment on, it would have had to come down to either the cover and/or the author's name, which is reflective of their background. Obviously, this social experiment is limited in its scope, but 3 out of 5 times on both accounts, the audience chose to read the books on the left side, aka those written by a white person. The best-selling book lists feature mostly white authors. Is there a correlation? Is good writing white writing? Why is research only legitimate when the references are made to white scholars? Why are most of the authors we read in school white? This is the result of a colonized mentality, or the cultural inferiority one feels when compared mostly to the West. Whiteness has been made equivalent to supremacy over time, although as early as the 17th century, being white was just a characteristic. In Europe, being Christian was the most important part of your identity, since that accorded both privilege and protection. But with the spread of Christian missionaries and increasing conversions of the African people into the Christian faith, a new ground had to be established to justify their enslavement of the black race. This is how whiteness became a category. Author James Baldwin wrote and spoke extensively about whiteness, insisting that it was a choice, not a biological identity. From its very conception, whiteness has been tied to social status, and therefore the white race held fast the belief that they were and are superior than other races. Colonialism and imperialism are products of such thinking. Colonization has been studied for its historical and socio-political changes, but very rarely for its psychological effects. For centuries, the colonized were force-fed a steady diet of never being good enough when put alongside the colonizer. Indigenous culture and language were either stripped of its significance or mocked at.
They were stripped of their traditional clothing, their hair was cut short. They were given new names and forbidden from speaking their native languages.
In India, Thomas Macaulay, in a speech advocating for English language to be taught, said, "A single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia." White authorship is more valuable even in academia. Michel Foucault is arguably one of the most referenced scholars of the 20th and 21st century. But Foucault's core ideas were adapted from the existing framework and literature produced within the Black Panther Party, which he doesn't mention, refer, or give credit to. This is most unfortunate because issues, ideas, testimonies, and stories are only valid when a white man lends his voice. Frantz Fanon, in his powerful book The Wretched of the Earth, argues that colonization doesn't end with just overthrowing oppressive colonial regimes. We need to break free from their mindset as well. Former colonized countries need to stop presenting themselves as developing nations because they're actually recovering from the experience of colonialism. The discourse and trauma of having been made to believe that the indigenous people are primitive, less than, savage and uncivilized has passed down generations and manifests in our daily choices, as simple as choosing a book to read.